Hello, guys. Lots of people at 20. What are we up to? 21, 23? My kitchen's never been so popular. I hope you're all good. I hope you are dealing with all of this as best you can. I'm very excited about chatting to you today and have had, hello, Helen. I'm going to try and note the people that are sending me messages, and in about 20 minutes, hopefully I'm going to get around to answering some of your questions. But there have been some questions sent to me before. So I will, in fact, answer those already to begin with. So first things first, my name is Sarah Ingram. Some of you may know me. Some of you may have been part of Peter Pan last year in Margate, and some of you may not. Now, I have been working for 34 years this year. I started a very long time ago, before probably some of your parents were born, which is very encouraging. And my webinar today with you is based on career advice. Now, I know that so many of you, if not all of you, are looking to go into the industry which is taking quite a beating at the moment, but we will come back. So one of the questions that I was sent was, how did I get into the industry? So the thing was, I, like most of you, I'm sure, was sent to dancing when I was a kid. I was sent at the age of 3, mostly because my parents would tell you I was a hyperactive pain in the bum. Their words, not mine. So it got rid of all the energy that I had, the excess energy. So I went to dancing, loved it. Got on stage for the first time at the age of 5 and felt very much at home. So kind of figured that this is what I was going to do. I never really thought about doing anything else. It was where my heart was, where my passion was, which I'm sure a lot of you are the same. So I decided to audition when I was 16 for college to train as a dancer. So I did. I was pretty academic actually, but my head teacher, who was amazing, told my parents to let me audition. If I got in, I got in. If I didn't, then I could go back to sixth form and go down the university route, which was sort of planned for me at the time. So I auditioned and I got into Birds College, which was pretty much the biggest dance college in the country. And I trained for 3 years as a dancer. Now, naturally, I was a pretty good dancer, but my talents probably lay elsewhere. So I was a natural singer, and naturally I sort of erred towards the acting side of it, and I always wanted to do musical theatre. So in my own time, I would go and see stuff. I would go and on a Tuesday night, I would work in town teaching, and then I would use that money to go and see theatre as much as I possibly could, and realised that what I wanted to do was musical theatre. I didn't want to be a dancer. I wanted to be an all-rounder, what is called the triple threat. That is pretty much how I started. It took me, I did a job abroad to get my equity card, which you needed to do. At the time when I was 19, I'd done panto before that to get my equity card at 18. So some of you are doing the maths now, aren't you, to work out how old I am. So from then on, I came back. Once I got my equity card after I'd worked abroad, I came back and auditioned for shows. And I got my first show, which was Hello Dolly. And I went on tour for a year. And then I went straight into 42nd Street, which started 10 days after that. And I did that for 15 months. And then I continued to do lots of touring and lots of rep, lots of musicals for 12 years. Then I started to play roles, then in different shows, Greece, a show called Yakety Yak, Chicago, Cabaret, all in rep, all over the country, Sheffield, Leicester, all over. Then I got my first West End. I was on tour with a show called Scrooge. And I got my first West End show, which was the original cast of Martin Guerre, which ran for 2.5 years at the Prince Edward in London, which was amazing. And I was then lucky enough to move on to the National to do Oklahoma with Hugh Jackman. I don't know if you've heard of him. And then I went back a couple of years later and did South Pacific at the National. And then I got my first play, which was what I wanted to do, and which was courtesy of Trevor Nunn, who was incredibly supportive of me and put me forward for a play, a workshop of a play. The director then gave me a tour of another play. And so from then on, I started doing straight theatre, Shakespeare, and musicals, and juggling it all about. There is no rhyme or reason, and there is a big part of this industry that requires patience. And the patience came to fruition actually this time last year, where after 33 years, I did my first television, because I was always doing theatre. So never give up, keep going, never ever give up. And so and here I am now. And within over that time, I was also directing for the last 20 odd years. I've been directing in between performing and sometimes at the same time, which requires a lot of sandwiches. And then I started writing, and then I set up a company at Curve in Leicester, a young company, and started writing and producing there. And then I directed the biggest community production ever, fully inclusive, using people with disabilities, of Fiddler on the Roof 18 months ago, which was amazing. I had 109 in the company, and I directed that. And then I've just finished doing playing Mrs. Lovett in Sweeney Todd, which I had done 5 years ago in London, and the production was picked up to do a European tour. So I went out to Frankfurt, and then I had 3 weeks off, and then I went to Munich, and we came back a tad early because of the old coronavirus. So the show was stopped, unfortunately, but it was a huge success, and I was very lucky. I only missed out on a week, the last week of the tour. Best role ever, dream role. So that's it, really. That's me in a nutshell. Over 100 productions. They still haven't found me out yet. So that's me, having worked for BYMT last year and done Peter Pan, which hopefully is going to Kingston this summer, which I'd be very, very hopeful for, because it was a wonderful production and I loved working with this company. So that would be jolly. So fingers crossed, we will be able to do that. Now, second question I was asked was how to prepare for an audition. Now, it's never easy auditioning. It doesn't get any easier, it gets harder. But it's all in the preparation. It has to be in the preparation. So I would suggest that you would go to the source material. For example, let's just take out of the blue Oklahoma. Oklahoma is a traditional one-off show, and you can watch any version of it. There's so many. There's the film version. There was our version that was filmed. There's a Broadway version that you can now get online. So there's lots of ways to watch Oklahoma. However, in order to get really into how this works, you should always go, if you can, to the source material. And by that, I mean what the show was based on. Now, Oklahoma was based on a book called Green Grow the Lilacs. And so, for example, with this, the first thing I did was read the book, even if it's just because most people know the story, and you can find that sort of stuff out on Wikipedia, the breakdown of the story. But go to the source material always, and also have a look at the era in which these shows are set, because how the world works in any one particular era always influences how you tell a story from that era. Because, for example, Oklahoma is set in the territories at the time before it was a state. It was very rough. It was very hard work. There were farmers, there were cowmen, they were scraping a living. It was a time when you would go and stake your claim to a piece of land, and that was it. You had to farm it, you had to make it work. So it's a tough, hard life. Look at photographs. There is so much available on Google. So all you need to put in is 18th century Oklahoma territory, and look at those images, those photographs from that era, it gives you a sense of what it is that you're auditioning for. The story, the script will always take care of itself, because, you know, especially with something as traditional as that, it will always take care of itself because it's a tried and tested piece of theatre. So arm yourself with the information about the era, about when the thing is set. Now, that's not always easy when you're dealing with a brand new piece, for example, if you're asked to go for something that is just been written, set modern day, but there will still always be clues as to how to prepare. Always look for source material, always look for something that is going to influence you, because we know our world. I mean, our world at the moment, we don't know so much, but generally we know our world. You walk out of your front door, you know what is on the right, what is on the left, cars go past, you know how it works. There is nothing unusual, so you don't take notice. You don't understand anything to be different from what is always there. You're always going to walk out of your front door and a car's going to drive past. It's no big deal. If you imagine walking out of your door and a horse goes past, a horse and carriage goes past, that's something new and it's something unusual to you. Therefore, you're going to react differently. So my point is, if you're working on a piece that is fantasy-based, set in an era you know nothing about, set in a country you know nothing about, arm yourself so that that world becomes second nature. It means, oh, thank you, Jason. I've just seen a notice. Hi, everybody. I'm being very lax with that. I saw Sweeney Todd in Frankfurt. It was incredible. Thank you very kindly. Arm yourself with those sorts of pieces of information that make the world that you're about to inhabit more natural. So it feels like you're walking out of your own front door. I hope that makes sense. It's understanding the world you're going into. As I say, really, really important. The script will always take care of itself. The story will take care of itself. But to inhabit the world is down to you. It's down to you to understand the world you're supposed to be living in. How people walk because of the fashion that they're wearing. Hello, Dolly. First show, wearing a bustle. That changes the way you walk. Buttoned up, hats, brollies, button boots, changes the way you walk, which is why the people of that era walked the way that they did. Therefore, understand that before you walk into an audition, how you're going to stand, how you're going to hold yourself in order to convey that you are the right person to fit into that world. I hope that helps. Other things to look at. Era I've done. Accents. Make sure you have the right accent for the production you're doing. I remember going to an audition once and auditioning for a show. The girl in before me went in, I could hear her. That very often happens. You can hear the person who's in before you, which can be off-putting. But she went in and read, I could hear her, and she was given a great performance in a full-on, full-blown New York accent. And it was great, it was brilliant. And she came out and I thought maybe she's from New York. She wasn't, she was English. The play was set in Ireland. So she hadn't done her research. It doesn't matter how good she was, the panel are going to sit there and go, she didn't read the first 2 lines of the breakdown, which says it was set in Ireland. Gone, finished, doesn't matter. Do your research, go in armed. You can't prepare for every situation, but try and prepare for most. When you're looking at a character, give yourself five words to describe that character to you. For example, let's talk about Lovett. Let's talk about Sweeney Todd. Lovett is very strong, can think on her feet, uses her brain. She's a very smart woman and can think on her feet and can change the dynamic of any situation and take it off in a different direction because she is a survivor. She's also an eternal optimist. She likes to make sure that she can continue to dream outside of this drudgery that she's living in. She can imagine being married. She can imagine having a husband. She can imagine having money. She has an ability to dream and to prepare for the best. So she's an optimist. So far we have, she's strong, unbelievably strong, tremendously smart and can think on her feet. And she's a dreamer. She also has no conscience at all. Because she's a survivor, she has no conscience. She doesn't suffer from guilt at all. She doesn't have any sense of right and wrong, because everything is fueled, which links back to her ability to dream. There can't be anything wrong with what she's doing, because she's doing it because she loves Sweeney. Therefore, there's nothing wrong with killing people, him killing people, her putting them into pies. So now all of this is a fantasy story. But now we've got 4 things. The 5th thing is her ability to nurture. She nurtures Toby, she becomes a mother figure. So we've got 5 things. The story is set in Victorian era, even though we set it quite modern day. It's a Victorian era, so therefore you have the economics, the people are struggling, there's a lot of poverty. So all of that becomes part of how you put the character together. Now, as I say, the script will take care of itself, but within that script, there are so many moments when all of those characteristics come to the forefront. The moment when she decides that actually, in order to get rid of these bodies, what we're going to do is I'm going to cook them. It's a light bulb moment. It's thinking on her feet. It's totally immoral. It's doing it in order to gain the love of Sweeney. So you've got 3 of your characteristics already in one scene. That way, you're creating a whole character. You're creating someone who is alive and living and breathing. So I hope that makes sense. Now, I want to show you something now. My friend Tatiana is going to do that. We're going to show you a clip. This is somebody who was involved in creating a role from scratch. So have a watch. Hello, chaps. Okay, so I apologize if some of the sound quality was difficult. It's on YouTube. You can look it up. It's really easy. Just look up Greatest Showman audition takes. The reason I wanted you to watch that, and again, I'm sorry if it wasn't as amazing as in quality, but as I say, you can look at it. Is anyone else? Oh my God, didn't you know you were hit? Sorry, there we go. We're having good old chats instead of listening. Love it. The reason I wanted you to watch that is the other thing about auditioning is in order to take the fear and the nerves away, imagine that every time you go into a room to audition for a role, it is your chance to play that part. Whether it be an audition song that you've chosen, material that they've come in and asked you to do an up-tempo or a ballad or whatever, to come in and show, it is your chance to perform. And that's what we love. Now, what was really interesting about that clip, they'd all been working on the workshop. They've been doing the workshop on that particular production on The Greatest Showman for about 3 years. This was the final culmination, and Hugh wanted her to audition for the role, and that's how she auditioned for the role. Now, to begin with, she was clearly nervous, and then she lost it. That wonderful moment when she walks out from behind the music stand and lets rip, reduces everybody to tears. The entire room goes bananas at the end. And the reason is she inhabits it. She understands it. She knows the character. She knows the era. She knows the characteristics. All of those things that I've just said, she knows. And what she does is she loses herself. She takes the moment and actually says, at the risk of being corny, this is me. This is my moment to shine, but also this is my moment to be truthful to the character. And she lets rip, and the rest is history. She got the role in a Hollywood movie. She performed at the Oscars, and then she went on tour with Hugh for a year. So this was life-changing for her, but the reason it was life-changing is because she committed to the moment. She didn't audition thinking about the pressure of the job. She just performed. And that's the greatest bit of advice I can give you. Just take the moment and enjoy the fact you're being given the opportunity to actually perform the role that you want to perform. Hope that makes sense. Final question, how do you bounce back after rejection? This is really simple. It becomes second nature. But the main thing to remember, if you don't get a job or a place or a role that you don't get, it's not personal. And the greatest way I personally got my head around it was to always remember that a role has to fit you as much as you have to fit the role. And if you're going up for something that just feels right, then inhabit, perform it to the best of your possible ability, do what she did in the video, commit and do it. If you don't get it, there's nothing you can do, and it was meant to be. It was just meant to be. And the reason you don't get that is because you're going to get something else, and you're going to learn something along the way. Nothing is ever a waste of time. Rejection is hard. It is hard, but try not to think about it as rejection. And always remember, and this is something to take with you throughout the industry, into drama school, wherever, take it with you. The people on the panel want you to be right. They want you to be the person who walks through the door and is right. No one is sitting there going, oh, I really hope you mess up. No one does that, because it makes their life easier if you walk in and you're the role. So everybody is on the same page the moment you walk through the door, because they want you to be right. So that sort of takes some of the fear out of it. But it also means you can deal with the rejection a little bit easier. And try not to think about it as the word rejection. It's quite, it's a negative word. It's not about rejection. It's about, there's a different path for you. Be fatalistic. The risk of being Zen. Be fatalistic about this stuff. Think about, okay, it wasn't meant to be. I'm meant to be somewhere else. I'm meant to train somewhere else. I'm meant to go somewhere else. I'm meant to learn something else from someone else who's coming into my life for a certain reason. That's sort of the best advice I can give you as far as rejection is concerned. I'll tell you a story. I auditioned for a show called Come From Away, which is, for me, by far one of the greatest pieces of theatre I've seen in a very, very long time. Now, I auditioned for it 5 times. I was recalled 5 times, and I kept being sent different roles to sing within. And it became pretty clear to me that, yeah, it is. Isn't it? Come From Away, utterly brilliant show. It is phenomenal. Sydney, you see. It is an amazing show because it is actors doing what actors do. 16 actors, 14 chairs, 2 tables, band on stage, telling an amazing story. Playing all the different roles, which is what we were talking about earlier, all those different characteristics, the different accents, the different physicality, all of that. It is actors, the best actors doing what the best actors can do. Now, I had 5 auditions for that, and I auditioned for pretty much all 5 leading female roles. And I knew they were terribly nice, they were lovely, and I really, really wanted the job. And it had been a long time since I really wanted to do something, and I wanted to be part of it because I thought it was brilliant. And I didn't get it. and I was gutted. I was absolutely gutted. But I was also aware that they were being terribly nice and sending me all of the different characters, and I was singing for all of the different characters, but I just wasn't absolutely right for any one of them. And not any one of them absolutely fitted me. I was aware of that. I could do it. I could do my best and produce a decent enough audition, but they just weren't clicking. That comes from experience. I get that. But I went to see it, and I can honestly say, without any bitterness, that they cast that show right. They cast it right. I could have done it, but I wasn't just right. So what you have to do is gain the knowledge that it's not about rejection. It's not stamping your feet and going, yeah, but I could have done it. It's knowing your own taste, knowing the taste of the show, appreciating somebody else's performance, and going, I'm not supposed to be there at this moment. I'm not supposed to be doing this. Those people are supposed to be doing it. That person is supposed to be doing it. And I'm going to watch, and I'm going to learn, and I'm going to try and decipher in my own head why they were right for the role and I wasn't. Now, I knew that because I'm old and I've been doing it a long time, and I knew why I wasn't quite right for any of those roles. That's something that comes with experience. But when you're doing these shows at BYMT, or doing school shows, or other productions that you get the chance to do, take this with you. Don't sit in the wings or sit in a rehearsal room and go, I could do that better. Watch, learn, understand why that person was cast, what it is that they have. Think of those characteristics of the character and see if you can decipher it and take it on to your next one. Because if you were there for the right reason, and you were supposed to be there in order to learn and understand and move you on. No time is a waste of time as long as you're in a production, in a company, understanding, learning, getting the discipline and moving forward. It doesn't matter where you go or what you do. A couple of times I've ended up the understudy and not playing the lead. That's happened to me quite a lot. The first 13 years of my career, I constantly understudied. But I understudied, I got on for a role, and then 2 years later was offered for the first time ever a job without an audition because of what I'd done 2 years previous. Because I'd kept my head down, I'd learnt, I'd worked, I went on for the role I was covering, as well as doing my own role in the show. 2 years later, that director came back to me and went, do you know what? How about playing the supporting lead? Thank you very much. But no time is a waste of time. So always, always, always flip things. Allow yourself to be positive and to understand why it is, or to trust that there is a reason why you're not playing that particular role at that particular time in that particular production. Because there is a reason. It may be to keep you free for something else. It may be for you to watch someone in order to learn how to do something else. There's always a reason, so stay positive. So, on that note, God, I can talk, can't I? Those of you who know me know I never shut up. So this, for me, is heaven. I can't hear anybody, nothing. Anyway, so what I would like to ask you now is on the chat, if you have any questions as far as any of this is concerned, career advice, anything, ask me. Go ahead and go. Have you ever done a BYMT show? I've directed one. BYMT and the National Youth Theatre. The National Youth Theatre just started when I was a kid. I know this is good lighting. I'm very old. So youth theatres and all of that didn't really exist when I was growing up. But I have directed a BYMT show. I directed Peter Pan last summer, and I think it is a phenomenal organisation, and I wished it had been around when I was your age. So no. What's the hardest role you have had? The hardest role I've had, different reasons. I did Much Ado About Nothing, and I played Ursula. They'd cut the role of Antonio and combined the roles, so that was great. Okay, there's lots of questions coming through. I wish I hadn't asked. One at a time. As far as, so I covered Beatrice in Much Ado About Nothing, and that was incredibly hard because it was my first Shakespeare, a long time ago now. But that allowed me to move on to my second Shakespeare and enjoy it even more and not be so frightened of it. So yeah, that was hard. I did a play called Inherit the Wind at the Old Vic. And there was a role in that I played Mrs. Blair, who was the mother of a child who was testifying in a courtroom. And that was tricky because it was the first time I'd had to pitch and set in the South and pitch a role in a different way. And I was playing opposite some very sort of big names. Kevin Spacey was in it, David Troughton was in it. There were some big names in it. Sharing a stage with those people and having can be a little bit intimidating, but also a masterclass. So that was tricky. Love it, by far the most complicated role I've ever played. Different ones for different reasons. So yeah, I did a four-hander play once called Women Laughing, where I didn't leave the stage for 2 hours and 10 minutes, and I never shut up. That was hard, but in a good way. I learned a lot. So yes. So let's see what other questions we have here. Would you recommend drama school or study drama at university? I would recommend drama school, without a doubt. Last year I was a guest lecturer at De Montfort University on the drama degree. And it's incredibly informative and very academic. But at university, you won't get the practicality of it. I would absolutely recommend drama school. I know everything is a degree course now, but if you can go to drama school, do it, because you will get the practical side even more. And you will be surrounded by people who are in stage management, who are musicians. So you're surrounded by like-minded people, and the entire establishment is about creating work, creating art. Whereas at university, you're sort of fighting for that. And, you know, you have your lectures and however many lectures off and hours off. It's very easy to just get sucked into university life as opposed to a vocation. And this industry is definitely a vocation. And so without even batting an eyelid, I would absolutely recommend drama school. What's your advice for those who started late in their disciplines, e.g. started training in early mid-teens? I don't think it matters. I'd only ever trained as a dancer. I didn't realise that not everybody at dance college would be able to sing. I didn't know I could sing until I arrived there. And everyone started looking at me a bit strange, a bit like that. And I just assumed. I was lucky I sort of had a gob on me, as people like to put it. So yes, I would. I don't think it matters. For me, as an actor, I mean, I've never trained as an actor, and yet I've done Shakespeare and I've done plays at the Old Vic, and I've been incredibly blessed, mostly because I'm very aware I have 2 ears and 2 eyes and 1 mouth. So it's about watching and learning and stealing from people who know more than you do. And I was very blessed to work with people who were exceptionally talented. So I would sit and I would watch these amazing older actors who had been doing it their whole life. And unfortunately, I've turned into one of those. And I watched and I learned. And I think your capacity and your passion for it needs to outweigh your fear of when you started. Do you know what I mean? If you have a vocation and you need to do it, you want to do it more than anything else, do it. Watch, learn. There's so much stuff online and on television that you can watch and steal from these incredible actors who are incredibly inspiring. Right. What do you think is more beneficial for someone to attend a London drama school over a Scottish drama school? Are there any more opportunities in London? No, I don't think so. I've worked with some amazing people who the girl who's just played Joanna in Sweeney went to the Scottish Conservatoire, hasn't changed her, she came out with a great agent, and her first job was playing Joanna. So no, I don't think, are there more opportunities in London? There are more. The only thing about London is that's pretty much where they audition for stuff. But the world has become so small. I haven't worked in the West End for a good few years now. I moved out of London, but the only reason I haven't worked in the West End is because I've been working all over the world and doing other stuff. The West End is a very small portion of the industry. It's nice. If you live in London, and it's all very exciting, and trust me, it's amazing to be in a West End show, and I did 9-10 of them, but it's not the be all and end all, and it's not where all of the art happens. It happens all over the country. There are enormous theatres in every city that are producing amazing work, and new and exciting and creative work. So no, I wouldn't say it matters where you go to. Just get good training. Learn everything you possibly can. But no, there's some amazing Scottish drama schools. Amazing. So go with. How important do you think it is to look castable? I don't know what that means. In fairness, I have no idea what looking castable is. I knew from a very young age I was going to have to turn 40 in order to start having some real fun, because those are the roles that I play. That's where I feel most comfortable. I was never, the ingenue, the breathtakingly beautiful one. I was reasonably amusing. I was the funny one. I played the best friend. I cornered the market in Best Friends for many, many years. I don't know what castable means. I think if we go back to the beginning of this webinar, when we were talking about how you prepare for an audition, as long as you know something inside out and upside down, you're castable. You may not be what they have in their mind, but I've got plenty of roles where I was not what they had in mind. It was not the route they were going to go down. And then suddenly you walk in because you've done your stuff, you've done your homework, you walk in and they cast you. So I don't know what castable is, if I'm honest. Castable is the ability to produce the work that they're looking for any given job. And if they don't think you're right, it could even come down to the fact that it's lovely. I really, we really appreciate that amazing audition, but we're looking for someone who's 6'2". Nothing you can do about it. Doesn't mean to say I'm not castable. It means they're looking for someone who's 6'2". So I don't really get the question. And there are always people who work. Everybody is castable if they fit into the right genre or fit into the show that you're looking at. Do you know what I mean? So yeah. How old were you when you got an agent? I worked for the first 4 years without an agent, but then you could do it then because there would be open calls. That sort of doesn't happen now. To get, sometimes no agent is better than a bad agent. An agent is there to basically book you a time slot and to put you up for stuff. I have a manager now, which is amazing, who I've been with for 13 years. I was with my agent for 13 years before that, at one age. So I've only really had 2 proper agents in my whole career. Now, a lot of people agent hop and change all the time. I haven't. I like continuity, and I like that I can ring my agent and just basically say, hi, it's me. But she understands me, she understands my brain, she allows me to expand and create and do more and more stuff. So for me, being part of an agency is having someone there with your back, basically. But now you pretty much need an agent straight off. But you need an agent, a good agent. You don't need any agent, if that makes sense. Are you doing a BYMT show this year? Yes, I am. Hopefully, I am directing Peter Pan at Kingston, which is one that we did last year at Margate, and they want to do it again, which is very exciting. So I will be doing Peter Pan at Kingston. All things fingers crossed, if this world is in any danger of getting back to normal. So yes, do you think it is good or a bad idea to go to uni and study something unrelated to performing as a backup plan and then try out for drama school? It's always good to have a backup plan. I'll tell you a story. There was a guy, an actor, a wonderful actor called Richard Bryars. You won't remember him, but your mum and dads might. Who was on a chat show with Michael Parkinson once. And he said that he got lots of requests from students who were going to drama school for help financially, because he was a very famous and successful actor. And he would speak to them, every single one of them, which was amazingly generous of him, and say, is it something you really want to do, or is it something you have to do? And if they said it's something I really, really want to do, he would say, don't do it. If it's something you have to do, then do it. So I'm sort of in two minds about the backup plan. However, there are some amazing actors who have come out with law degrees and degrees in French. There are some amazing directors. One of my favorite directors, Tim Sheeder, who runs Regent's Park Open Air, has a degree in French. I've worked with another director who did a law degree at Cambridge. So I don't think it matters, but be careful using the word backup. If you're studying something that will open your brain and give you knowledge, because knowledge, anyone who thinks actors are stupid or dancers or singers are stupid. You have to be really smart to do this job. And you have to be able to adapt. You have to be able to move from back row of the chorus in a show to Shakespeare, to writing, to directed. You have to constantly feed your brain. So feeding your brain by doing another degree is absolutely not an issue at all. If you're that smart, go for it. The more intelligence you have, the more education you have, the more knowledge you have, the more you're constantly able to create characters that are real and truthful and rounded, because your wealth of knowledge is always going to be used. But be careful with using the mentality of backup plan, because it means you've got one foot in and one foot out. Now, I would say nothing against going to do a degree in some other, who is this, Matilda? In some other subject, absolutely. But use it as a growing and a learning and a maturing experience, as opposed to, well, I can always do that if that doesn't work. Just think of it as part of your journey. Absolutely do another degree. Absolutely. And it will be ostensibly a backup plan, but don't think of it that way, because you've got 100% commit to this. So audition for drama school, and they love, drama schools love you going in, the older, RADA and Central and all of those love you going in with some sort of life experience. So absolutely do it. Peter Pan was the best show ever. Thank you very much, Helena. Did you get an agent, or did you have one? I've already answered that. How do you go about finding auditions? My agent does it. My agent calls me and says, you have an audition. This is the time. This is the normally now, because I play quite big roles now. I get sent a script. I get sent the music so that I can have a look and read. You have to learn to be quick, because sometimes, for example, I will get a call from my agent 5:30 in the evening saying, you're in at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. Here are the sides, here's the pages. So suddenly your whole life goes on hold, everything gets cancelled, and you sit and you learn and you do your research to go in the next morning and do your thing. So yes, that's how I find auditions. I don't. My agent does. There was probably... Okay. Let's see what else. Did you have a backup plan to study something else in case this didn't work out? No, I didn't. I had no backup plan whatsoever. Much to my parents' chagrin, I didn't. So I just went and did it. Drama and music university, would you recommend that? I've answered that. I think if you are not selected for a role and the opportunity pops up again, is it possible to perfect the character and get chosen the next time? Yes, actually, I think it is. Because, of course, that goes back to what I was saying, watching and learning and understanding. You're in the position you're in for that reason. So you can watch and learn and go, oh, okay, I understand where you were going with this character now. Let me audition again. So, yes, there absolutely is. In the future, I'm not sure if I'd rather go to straight drama school, performing arts school, as I'm interested in both musical theatre and straight acting. Then again, I like the idea of university or perhaps studying more film acting, which is something I'm also interested in. Any advice? Plenty, Stella. So it's got better. There used to be a huge stigma about musical theatre actors. And I was absolutely in the minority and incredibly blessed that I was able to switch between the two. But there was a huge stigma, and people were very loath to see musical theatre actors in straight theatre. They assumed you couldn't do it. That's why it took me 30 odd years to get a blooming telly. But you will learn, you need a fully rounded career. The more strings you have to your bow, the better. So make sure whatever course you're going for does give you straight acting training. Now, there is still the thing that people who go to straight acting colleges and come out with a degree in classical theatre, straight theatre, straight acting, will get more film training and television training and all of that, but also will get seen for musicals. If you go for musical theatre training, you don't always get seen for straight theatre. So be aware that the other piece of advice that I was given, because I remember saying to my agent, I desperately want to do a play. And she said, the way to do it is you either stop doing musicals and you go back and you start again in straight theatre, or you get so far up, keep pushing with the musicals, and then when you start playing roles, you can walk across because you'll work with directors who who do both. And that's what happened to me. Keep your options open, but always remember, the more strings you have to your bow, the less likely you are to be a waiter. Learn to do everything. So I'm not the best answer. However, Martina, I'm quite a good singer and actress. Do you think that I won't be able to get any roles in the future? I'm only 14, so I have time to become a better dancer. However, no matter how hard I work, I just don't seem to be good enough. Any advice? Okay, firstly, stop it. I know plenty of actresses who aren't the greatest movers. I trained as a dancer. I didn't look like one, but I trained as one. But I didn't train as an actor or a singer. So does that mean I'm not allowed to do straight plays? No. And also the way you phrase it. So I have, however, no matter how hard I work, I just don't seem to be good enough. I don't understand that premise. Good enough for what? Keep going. If you want it, keep your eye on the ball. Always keep your eye on the ball where you want to end up. Don't compare yourself with other people. It is never between you and someone else. It is always between you and the role. Always. So make sure you are striving towards gaining all the technique and all the experience and all the skills that you need to play the roles that you want to play. Don't compare yourself with others. Don't. It's pointless. It's absolutely pointless because it's never between you and someone else. You might be down to the last two for a role, and that person may get it or you may get it, but it's not between the two of you. It's between your relationship, between you and the role. Therefore, keep that in your mind when you're pushing hard and you're having a bad day and you're not sure that you're getting anywhere. Make sure that you've still got your eye on the ball. Work out where you want to be in 10 years and never, ever drop that ball. So don't say you're not good enough at 14. You shouldn't be. You haven't trained. But if you have a passion and a desire to do it, you will be. Don't put yourself down. There's too many people out there who'll do it for you, sweetheart. Keep going, okay? Do you need to have an agent to get good parts? Yes. Generally, yes. How do you learn different accents, and does it matter if you're not perfect at it for the audition? Right, okay. Accents are a thing. If you're musical, which most of you will be because you're in British Youth Music Theatre, if you have a musical ear, think of it musically, hear the timbre. There's so much stuff on YouTube now. When I say on YouTube, don't look up how to do an accent and then you'll get someone sitting in their kitchen, pardon the pun, doing really bad accents. One thing to look at, and I would never, ever, ever advocate watching these shows. However, if you suddenly get, if a girl suddenly gets an audition for a New York accent, watch an episode of Housewives of New York, because they're all New Yorkers. So you've got that, and the way that they phrase things, and the rhythm, and the speed, and listen to people from those places. If you need to do a Southern accent, listen to Jodie Foster. If you need to do, find out, you know, if someone says to you, I need you to do a Pittsburgh accent, look up, Google Pittsburgh actors. They'll come up. Then look for YouTube clips or films that they were in and listen. Listen and mimic, and steal. Same thing, same premise. What's my favorite show that I've done? Whatever one I'm in at the time. Would you suggest going to drama school at 16 or 18 years old? Drama schools don't tend to take you at 16 anymore. They do with MT, but not straight drama schools. They generally go for 18. You said you're quite academic. I'm in a similar situation. My mum thinks that if I go to drama school, I'd be frustrated by the lack of other people who are very academic and that I should go to uni instead. Okay, I don't want to disagree with your mother. But the smartest people that I know and love and have spent my time with are creatives. There are smart people in every genre, and anybody who's in drama school shouldn't be, this is turning into academic snobbery. Academia is absolutely needed and incredibly useful. And even if you're not academic, your passion and knowledge for your chosen subject, because it is vocational, will drive you forward, and therefore your knowledge will expand. It is about using what God gave you as far as your intellect is concerned, on whatever level that is, to enhance your drive to go forward. I don't know. I don't know what to say to that. If you go to university, do a degree in something else. Don't do a drama degree. But if you want to go to drama school, do drama. But I don't think there is a lack of academia in drama school, to be honest. Certainly not in places like RADA and Central and Guildhall no. So I hope that explains that. I graduated from Mount View as an actor muso last November. Congratulations. And I wanted to know what advice you have regards to how often you should hear from your agent. Well, at the moment, nah, although I have been getting calls from mine, just to make sure I'm all right. I've just finished a TIE tour, which I got through them, but I'm just worried that I should hear from them more often with auditions, etc. Obviously, meaning before Corona hit. There's a thing about bugging your agent, and the fine line between bugging your agent and working with your agent. Just be courteous, but also remember that you employ them, they don't employ you. You pay them, they get you work. If they get you an audition, you get the job, you pay them, they work for you. It's about building a relationship so that there is sort of mutual respect. Don't bang on, and 9 times out of 10 you will be being submitted for stuff, you're just not being called in, because then we get into the casting director thing, who are the ones that go through. So what you can do is ask your agent to send you a list of stuff you've been submitted for, just so you can keep an eye on it. But 9 times out of 10 your agent will be submitting you for work. You're just not being called in yet, because the right role for you hasn't come up. So I don't know. And I'm bearing in mind your agent could have 150 clients. So if she spoke to all of her clients or his clients every single week, they wouldn't have time to submit anybody for any work or get anybody any work because they're too busy chatting on the phone going, so sorry, I haven't got you an audition. Are you okay? So put yourself in the process and understand it, if that makes sense. No, don't worry about A-levels and performing in arts college and then you want to go to drama school. Are you at a disadvantage? No, there's no disadvantage to anything. Just do the process that we've been through and audition for drama school. No one's going to look down on you because you did A-levels or you didn't do A-levels, if that makes sense. What do you look for in an audition? Everything that I've said: precision, detail, commitment, artistry, knowledge, but commitment and fearlessness. I like fearlessness. I like someone to audition for me who's absolutely fearless. Okay, let's skip down a bit. About the backup plan. I'm afraid that I will go to drama school. This is, it's Martina. If I don't get a job in England, I won't have any backup plan. Hope you understand this. I'm Maltese. And we don't have really have good opportunities here. So if I don't get a job in England, I won't have any backup plan. I do understand. I completely understand that, my darling. Especially with Brexit at the moment as to who lives where. I'm not saying don't have a backup plan. I'm saying commit to the degree that you're doing. What I'm saying is, when you go for drama school, don't have that in your head that it's a backup plan. Does that make sense? It's about committing to the role. Instead of going into an audition room, let me put it to you like this. If you go into an audition room and go, it's okay if I don't get this job because I've got a backup plan. When you go into an audition room, it needs to be there. That was my point. I could have been more succinct. I hope that makes sense. It's a lot of things about agents and universities. How do I improve my vocal skills, singing voice? Find someone who inspires you, who you want to sound like and sing along with. I was sort of self-taught vocally. I used to sing with Barbra Streisand because I wanted to learn how to mix and get that big mix sound. Not that I knew what it was at the time, I just wanted to know how that sounded. But look at cast recordings of shows that you want to do and mimic and employ and try and develop that way. But also there are plenty of good singing teachers out there in your areas. There's always decent singing teachers. Look after your voice, drink plenty of water, which I do have here. I have been drinking my coffee, but that's because I'm old. Right, okay, here we go. What drama schools do I recommend? All of the above, really. RADA, Central, Guildhall, GSA, Mount View. Arts Ed is more, is very musical theatre, but also spectacular. Plenty of the conservatoires in Scotland, which I spoke about earlier, amazing. There's plenty of amazingly good drama schools. Look at the faculty when you're researching. Look at the faculty, the people who are teaching you. Make sure there's people on there who've done it. They don't just teach it. Make sure there are people out there who can actually answer these kinds of questions in order to help you go into the industry and get a sense of perspective, really. Okay, where are we? One new message. Oh, thank you very much. You're absolutely welcome. I think that's, I have an agent at the moment, but will I need to get another one and change after I graduate? Not if they're working for you, Jessica. No, Jessica May. If they're working for you and it's going well, why would you change agents? I mean, you can change agents if you want to, but you know, you'll also have a showcase, and one assumes agents will approach you, or if not. But if you've got an agent already and there's someone there and there's someone on your spotlight that you can use, then absolutely, just stay where you are. If it works, then it works. Is there a list of drama schools that you recommend? I'm just about to start at Birmingham Ormiston Academy on the MT pathway, so about 4 years before I look at drama schools. Or do you recommend going to drama school at 16? Again, MT will take you at 16, although rarely, but that would be on a BTEC course. Dancers will take you at 16 because the earlier you train, the earlier you mess up your body and it hurts more. But drama school it's 18 plus, because they want you with a little bit more, which goes back to somebody else's comment earlier, a bit more life experience, a bit more education, a bit more nous and knowledge and things to draw on, because that's what we do as actors. We draw on life experience. The more knowledge we have, the better we are at our job, the better we are at creating characters, commitment, discipline, all of that stuff. Nothing you do is a waste of time. Nothing. So yes, I think that's, are you allowed to stay with your agent at MT College? I have no idea. No idea. Thank you so much for this. It's been very helpful. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I think are you a classically trained singer? Ty, this has been so helpful, thank you. Oh, thanks, Joseph. I have done classical stuff. I would say my training has come again on the job. I was lucky enough to do the proms and showboat at the Albert Hall and things like that, where I've worked with amazing MDs and vocal coaches on the job and got paid for it as opposed to paying for it. I always say I can pretty much sing anything if there's money involved. Make yourself versatile, give yourselves as many strings to your bow. I hope this has been useful. I can't recommend any good agency, Joanna, because I don't know what it is that you're looking for. But they will know. I've gone way over time, didn't think I would. Thank you. I hope it has been useful. If you want to do, thank you, looking forward to hopefully doing Peter Pan this year, me too. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, this is all very lovely. Thank you so much. It's been so helpful. I'm pleased. Anything else you want to know? Maybe we can set up another one. And I can tell you some funny anecdotes from my kitchen, which is apparently where I now perform. I hope that was good. I hope to see some of you in the summer, and I hope that all of the productions get done. Keep committing to BYMT, because it's a great institution, and you know, it's giving you an opportunity, and me an opportunity, to connect with the next generation. But also, hopefully we can help you out. So I look forward to seeing you all again. Have a great day. Watch, learn. Oh, and a little end thing for you all. Little end thing. On YouTube, which is absolutely invaluable, have a look at Actors on Actors. So you'll see there are two actors and they basically talk to each other for an hour, and they will talk as to how they prepared for a role, how they auditioned for a role, what their screen test was like. Watch it. It's called Actors on Actors. It's really, really interesting. And you'll start to understand pro actors' process, which frankly isn't any different to yours. I hope to see you all soon, and lots and lots of love and good luck. See you out there. Hopefully we'll be on stage together one day. God bless.